like everything's working. I've been having some problems with the OBS. So, like last week during Call of Cthulhu, it dropped partway through. I managed to catch it, and then it dropped partway through Fallout on Sunday, and I didn't catch it. So, we'll see how things go today with OBS. But as we pick up, I think this is session 46 of Masana Nyarlathotep, and you guys are in Australia. You guys are trying to track down a couple of things. Primarily, you're trying to ascertain the location where the gate is. You know from the map that you saw in the Bent Pyramid in Egypt that it is someplace inside Western Australia, which is a vast wasteland, generally called the Great Sandy Desert. And you do know here in Sydney, there was a professor that you met briefly in New York that had some information. He had some photos of like some like weird pillars and stuff that he had taken, and reference to a diary that he had left at his home in Sydney. So that is currently where you guys are, is to meet with his house sitter and see what you can find out there. You also know in Darwin, which is in the Northern Territory, a shipping company called Randolph Shipping has been responsible for shipping a variety of mythos-related artifacts to various cults, and was also apparently the source or the shipper of the strange mechanical pieces that you found in England.
I'm sorry, Chris. Can you link me that?
It's in the
found
pin.
again? Okay.
Yeah.
Click on the pin in general.
Yeah, it should be pinned. On your way here to Australia, Evelyn made contact with some entity and learned some fairly potent mythos magic in exchange for her bringing it, apparently, coffee and alcohol. The only problem is that the city that she is supposed to go to, from what you can tell, existed like 200 million years ago. Which might be a bit of a problem.
Might be. Just a little bit.
I'm sure that'll be fine.
Oh yeah, totally.
It always is. We left off the next morning after we delivered a letter, so we haven't had a response yet, correct?
Correct. You guys basically dropped off a letter at Professor Cowles' house that says, like, you know, we're friends of Professor Cowles from come over from America. We would like to meet you tomorrow, sort of thing. He left like a proper calling card, as it were. Other than that, Alvid has been doing his due diligence and has seen no sign of anybody in particular paying attention to you or following you. So far, Australia is relatively quiet.
We did notice those people who are looking at the ports, though, right?
There were people that were watching the ports, but they didn't seem to be paying attention specifically to you.
Oh, well, yeah, some of us didn't make that perception check. Oh, well. I'll ask Alvin, can you describe them? Like, were they wearing uniforms or something that stands out?
I didn't get too much of a description, but if I remember correctly, they looked like, maybe not like toughs, but they looked like they were looking to take advantage of someone.
Maybe Pinkertons.
Maybe.
I wouldn't say, I was not specific, but I got the impression that they were looking to hoodwink someone. Like, they were looking for an easy mark.
Hired goons.
Goons, hired goons. And it's not Pinkerton
Hired
because
goons?
It's not Pinkerton because this isn't a WotC game.
Wow.
We don't have the copyright to bring them in because it's not a watch again.
We have that on audio recorded for all time. Thank you, Chris.
No worries.
Just as an admittedly small aside, it wasn't until recently watching a video that I understood exactly the history of the Pinkertons because I was not exactly 100% clear on who they were and what they specifically did.
Yeah, they. Anyway, the folks in Australia were not Pinkertons, but they did to Alvin. They did look like. I mean, a lot of the people here in Australia are of a kind of a tougher breed. I mean, it's the whole country is pretty much frontier land.
It's nice to say. It's a nice way to say criminal.
At this point in time, not everybody in Australia is no longer a penal colony, but it is very frontiersy.
No, it's just a cultural thing.
Everybody here is here for a crime they didn't commit. Literally,
Yeah.
their daddy did.
But yeah, there was nothing that immediately piqued Alvin's attention at the very least. But yes, you guys have made arrangements to meet Professor Dodge, the person who is watching Professor Cowles' house in his absence, in the morning. Other than that, it is Friday evening, and you guys can decide what it is you would like to do. If anything, if you just want to skip till the morning to the meeting, that's fine as well.
Me and Evelyn talked about something last game, and I was wondering if it was at all possible. Can we teach each other things?
Yes, you can.
Because I realized that Evelyn didn't know the Vorish sign, that I might have gone terrible when she was summoning that thing. So might want to get to that at some point.
The other question is, should we teach each other something?
Probably not. Honestly.
Sorry, what was that?
Eugene wants to teach Evelyn and wants us to do a little magical exchange. And Gary was wondering if we should teach each other magic. Just because we
don't know
can
these things.
doesn't mean we should.
That'd be fine. What's the worst that could happen?
Please do not answer that.
I have an entirely new answer now.
Hey, my sanity is still pretty. Hey, Chris, we're still stuck on the development phase on our character sheet.
Oh, there we go.
Thank you. I was curious how good my sanity was. Hey, I'm almost. I've recovered pretty well, so yeah, I'm okay. I can start another downward spiral.
I feel like we're like moments away from someone going Emotep, Emotep.
Now you guys have
Not
left
me.
the ditch behind you. There's absolutely nothing out here in the deserts of Australia.
Mm-hmm.
The dingoes,
If only that was true.
Aborigines, probably an Aboriginal cult of some kind.
You guys do know that, according to Professor Cowell, there is a death cult in Australia called the Cult of the Sandbat.
The cult of Simba?
The Sandbat.
Is that cult limited to a particular geographical area, or no, they could be anywhere? We're not sure.
They could be anywhere. Just trying to find the particular handout that you have. There we go. I'll post that up on the Foundry. That's the information that you have from Professor Cowles. So it is an Aboriginal cult.
I brought some Egyptian relics with me, so we can try to start Imhotep cult here if we want.
There you go.
If I remember correctly from last session, we had booked a meeting to go take get our hands on the notebook.
Yes.
That's for everyone this session, right?
Yep.
And we had checked into a hotel, and it was tomorrow that we were going to go meet up with the person responsible of handling this guy's affairs while he's not in the country.
Correct.
We're waiting to hear back on an appointment or a meeting.
No, he said the next day, right?
Yes, he did. You guys did spend most of the day waiting, but around like 6 o'clock in the evening or so, you did get a response back that he would meet you in the morning.
So we have one evening to go through.
You have one evening if there's anything in particular folks want to do.
Well, I'll start giving pointers to Evelyn, but otherwise, I think we are gonna. At least I'm gonna anchor them.
Okay.
I don't have any investigation plan for this city.
Neither do I at the moment. I'd say Gary probably was a bit under the weather during the all of the boat thing.
Our official position is that you were retching all the way.
I said a bit under the weather. That's exactly what I'm telling.
All right. But yes, if there's nothing other than teaching Evelyn even more magic, that I'm sure will work out fine for everybody.
Oh yeah, totally. I would never cast it in a blind panic.
All right. Well, the sign that Eugene teaches you, it's like a hand gesture that basically helps you to channel your magic and make the magic a little bit easier to perform.
Radical, dude.
That'll go well. That's what we should do. Make it easier for Evelyn to cast things.
It's the only thing that prevented me from exploding lots of times.
Oh boy.
But the main thing is Evelyn actually going to practice this, or is she just going to go through the motions?
Oh no, she wants to learn it.
All right. Well then, Evelyn, you can give me a hard power roll.
Oh dear. Oh, not with that.
You could spend 35 luck to succeed if you like.
Oh good God. I've got 62.
Or alternately, you can push the roll.
This has
I've
never
only
worked
got
poorly for you.
I've only got a 30 power. That's the problem. Is that yeah. Um
Well, I mean, if you fail the roll, you cannot try to learn it again until what, Chris?
She needs to find another source to learn it from.
oh.
Okay, yeah.
Did you learn this from a book?
Yep. But I think it's in a language you are not able to read.
Probably. Oh boy. $35 luck. Oh dear God.
That's a substantial amount.
Or you could push it.
You truly want her to push it, eh?
If I push and I fail again.
Oh, the spell will
Can I
still work.
Great.
But consequences.
Yeah. Would I be able to spend luck on that second roll, or is it just that it works and the
No.
consequences are okay? Poor Evelyn's gonna end up like David in her Sentinels game.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I'm gonna push it.
All right. All right.
Oh boy, Yeah. Wow. That was so much worse.
All right. Evelyn, it is going to cost you 4 times the amount of magic points insanity.
Does she just explode?
Maybe. How much is that gonna cost?
So normally it's a sanity cost of 1 and 1 magic point, so it costs you 4 sanity and 4 magic points.
Oof.
It's honestly not that bad of a spell to have multiply.
Yeah. And roll me a d8.
Yeah, because that's gonna go well. 3.
Oh, that's not horrible. All right. So as as Eugene is teaching Evelyn the Vorish sign, this like complicated like gesture with your hands to help you channel the power, and you try to tap into it, and you try, and even though you guys are in like your hotel room, and I assume like a private room, I don't think any of the other PCs are there for this. The wind starts to pick up in the room. Very similar to almost like at first just like, oh, maybe the window is open. But then as Evelyn kind of channels more and more power in an almost uncontrolled way, the wind like just like picks up till it's almost like it's not tornado force by any stretch, but it is the sort of thing where you have to like kind of lean into it. Your hair is like whipping back from your face, your clothes are, you know, disheveled. Pictures are knocked off the windows. All the bedding is torn off the bed. It is a disturbing uh, degree of power in a very localized, concentrated way.
Am I the only one to imagine to think of the Vorish sign as a Naruto thing that they do with their fingers?
If I don't do it right, I'm gonna insult the Bloods or the Crips. I'm not sure which one.
Yeah. But yes, as Evelyn, as the wind is picking up, and Eugene, there's a brief moment where you're like, oh, this has gone horribly wrong.
You should stop it now. Your fingers are bending in ways that are not supposed to. Please put it down.
But eventually, Evelyn, you do get this under control. The winds kind of die down. You kind of like clamp down on the power. You're not sure exactly what you tapped into.
Mm-hmm.
The hotel room is like a complete shambles. It looks like somebody has like tossed the room looking for something.
Oh. Huh.
Oh, so long for a deposit. Um,
Was it that difficult for you to learn? I don't
um,
remember it
well,
looking
it,
like.
it wasn't as showy, okay? But it allowed me
Showy.
to do the Eye of Fire and Darkness without exploding. Um,
That's good.
just don't do it for too long. Next time.
I'll try to keep that in mind.
Yeah. Oh, and it takes like a few seconds to do, and into those few seconds, cultist or creature knows that you are about to do something magical. So some of them might like try to stop you. Think about that
Huh.
when you use that.
I'm sure that all the fellows with guns and such will be able to keep that under control.
From what I've seen, some creatures are afraid of it, and some creatures are enraged about it. So just keep it.
But other than that, sleep eventually comes for you all.
That doesn't sound ominous.
It'd be better if I said sleep claims you all.
No, it
Yeah.
sounded ominous either way. It's fine.
That's why I love Call of Cthulhu. Everything's ominous.
It really is.
Hi, how are you doing? It's terrifying.
But Saturday morning comes. Everybody is awake. Everybody has all of their limbs.
I'm glad you felt the need to point that out.
No extras?
How's the wind in the room?
Nobody has any extra limbs.
Oh, even better.
Oh, nice. You're right. An appropriate number of limbs.
Can I see my fingers today?
Today
Yep.
was a good day.
Oh, excellent.
And I guess Evelyn, did you like tidy up your room before you went to sleep, or did you just go to bed?
No, I would have tidied the room.
Okay.
It would probably still show because I'd tell you the place, but like I'm not perfect.
Yeah, I'm not hotel staff trained.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be like a pile of this and a pile of that, but at least not everything will be everywhere.
All right. But yes, you guys can meet and have breakfast and plan out your day.
So, what do we have to ask that fellow?
Well, he's a colleague of the doctor that has been you guys have met in New York. So
Hmm. I didn't
hopefully we
actually meet
can.
him.
Okay.
I went to a different meeting that was probably quite a bit less interesting, more disgusting tea filled.
Hmm.
But we are here to ask him about the cult of the Sandbat and to
Yes.
see if he
I think
knows about. He had some photographic slides showing
and
some kind of ancient architecture in the middle of the desert.
How
from my
much?
notes also the diary of the doctor who found out about this.
Hmm.
How
Arthur McWhirr.
much fucking cults there is?
Um, well, given that the creature we're trying to stop goes by about 70 different names, one for each of them at least. And some of them are active in more than one place. So, too many. Far too many.
It's like my aunts.
Far too many of them. Or your cousins and the trouble they'll get you into. Just far
Yeah,
too many.
yeah. Well, let's get into this.
Let's be polite
Bless you.
and academic.
All right.
So are we scheduled to meet this gentleman this evening?
No,
This morning.
he just said tomorrow.
Oh,
We're meeting his assistant, I think.
Another
uh,
professor who's watching his house.
Okay.
So not Dot.
No. All right. But yes, after you guys have breakfast, you can make your way to Professor Cowles' house. It is relatively close to the university. It's within easy walking distance of Sydney University. Alvin, I imagine, is keeping his eyes open.
Always.
Right. Yep, it's a pleasant enough day. I mean, it's a Saturday morning, so the streets are moderately busy. But you don't catch anybody following you or watching you or signaling to other people or any of the things that you've come to expect.
And nobody specifically watching the house we're going to.
Everybody can make spot hidden rolls.
Chris, what would it take to push it?
If
What's the
you
downside specifically?
if you want to push it, you have to describe to me exactly what you're doing to push it, and the consequences would probably be if there is anybody there, they will notice you noticing them.
So this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do a quick sprint and then look back to see if anyone's specifically noticing that I'm sprinting, right? To try to see if they're also joining in the chase. So I'm kind of like fake running to try to draw them forward and then looking back to see if anyone's following me, which will mean automatically if I fail, they'll know I'm there.
Perfect. All right. Oh, there you go. So as you kind of take over the sprint, and Miles and Evelyn and Alvin, you do notice there are a couple of people like they kind of like jump back a little bit startled when Alvin takes off into like his little bit of a run. But since you're in like the rough vicinity of the house, you do catch a couple of people who kind of slink back into like one of the nearby alleyways a little bit as Alvin starts to run. They are definitely keeping an eye on the house, not specifically you, but they kind of like pull back as Alvin starts to run, hoping that they won't be spotted. Alvin, with your hard success, there are two individuals.
And they're watching the house that we're about to get into.
They are definitely watching the house. They kind of like pull back a little bit, like they pull back like they're expecting you to maybe make a break down the alley or something like that.
Why is he
I
sprinting?
share that information with everyone. They're watching the house. Is the guy in the house?
As far as you know.
That seems weird. Do you think they're waiting until he leaves so they can steal something?
They might be watching him.
Are they the same two men you saw at the port?
Chris?
They're the same type. They're kind of like rough around the edges sorts. Probably not the same too specific, but of the same ilk.
They look like hired toughs. They might be hard to tell one from the other. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I'd say they're working for the same group as the first one.
The thing is, the professor himself isn't even in the country.
But they might not. They might be waiting for him to arrive.
I mean, maybe, but wouldn't they be a little more aware? They'll be waiting here a while if they're just waiting for him at the house instead of just waiting once they find out he's at least back on Australian soil.
I mean, they might be trying to spot anybody who gets interest in the place because it might mean that those are people on their tail.
We still have to meet the guy, though.
Yes.
Mhm.
Could you use a distraction to make sure they don't see us entering the house or something like that? Yeah. It's risky.
We could confront them.
Shall we?
Ask them directly what they want. They'll either run or they'll try something stupid.
Okay,
And if they
then.
try something stupid, then we'll take care of them.
Gary's gonna go to the guys.
That was not the person that I expected to go to the guys.
He survived firefights. He survived stuff. Now he's getting there.
Gary either had too much coffee this morning or not nearly enough.
I'd say not enough.
Just like walking straight towards them.
Yes. Well, no stealth, nothing.
Right.
Plain old. What the fuck, dude?
Right. As you start to approach them, they kind of notice you coming straight towards them, and they take off running.
Well, that takes care of that.
Was there recognition when they saw us before they run?
Gary, you can make a psychology roll.
Yeah, I'm quite decent at that. That's a hard success.
So when they saw you, it was more of a like, oh shit, somebody's seen us, as opposed to, oh, those guys saw us. It was like a kind of a general, we've been made type of reaction.
I just wave him goodbye.
Okay.
Well, my. You're fearsome this morning.
I think there's something on my face.
I
Well,
always
nothing that
forget that
isn't
the direct.
normally
I always forget that the direct approach is a thing that exists.
there. Ah,
It works.
at
Yeah.
times.
Well, you always have results. Not always the one you want, but you have them.
I mean, them running off is as good a result as we could have asked for, really.
Yeah, I think so too.
You look a little surprised, Alvin.
It's not surprise. I'm just wondering who has it out for this guy.
Oh, we'll know.
There's no shortage, really.
And let's be honest, during our few months together, I look at the group. Sometimes some of us act a little out of character, which means we need to pay more attention.
What do you mean?
Sometimes we go a little crazy.
Oh, yeah. That.
It's usually quite obvious, though.
You mean like someone walking up to potential two enemies alone without telling anyone beforehand?
It's not like we were far away.
That's called New York.
You know what? I take back everything entirely in character. Let's knock on this poor guy's door and get in before they come back.
Mm.
Yeah, well, that is a good idea.
So as you knock on the door, you hear some movement inside, and then in a couple minutes the door opens. I actually have some character artwork. There you go. This gentleman, probably in his like late 40s, definitely is like, the sort of person that's like, yeah, he looks like he works at a university sort of thing. That's Saturday, so he's got his sleeves rolled up. He's probably been doing a little bit of work around the house.
Elbow patches and stuff.
No, he doesn't have his jacket on. His sleeves are rolled up. But he does. He kind of looks at you, says, "Oh, you're the ones who sent me the calling card yesterday."
Yes.
We are.
And he does kind of like look around for a moment. He's like, "Okay, come in." He's got a very, very thick Australian accent. I am not going to do because I don't do accents. But just imagine a very, very thick Australian accent.
We don't do accents as a kindness to Chris and to be respectful of everyone.
Yes. And he kind of closes the door behind you. Puts the like the little chain on. Like, please. I don't know if it's polite to tell you to make yourselves at home since it's not my house exactly, but I am watching this for Alexander. Would you care for some refreshments?
That would be delightful.
It shows you to like the living room. It's a very like nicely appointed house. There are some different artifacts from different areas of Polynesia, like just like on the bookcase and stuff like that, hanging on the walls. Obviously, Professor Cowles, this was his area of expertise, was Polynesian culture. He comes back in a couple of minutes with like a tray with like some sandwiches and biscuits and cookies and stuff. Tea. My understanding is you're friends of Alexander's from America.
Some of it is
Um,
from America, yes.
Oh, I trust he's been well. I'm not expecting him back quite yet. So if you were hoping to speak with him, unfortunately, he's not due back for probably another month or so.
well, we did speak with him when we were in New York. He invited us to come check some pieces for research, but we got here before he did, so we sent him a telegraph, and I'm gonna hand over the answer we got back,
Okay.
and suggested that we come speak with you to uh, advance our investigation, if you will.
Oh, of course, certainly. He kind of like looks at the token and says, "Oh, okay. Oh, you're looking for the McGuire diary."
Yes.
Yeah. Just a second. Alexander told me that it was an interesting find, but I haven't looked at it myself. You
We've
know.
been making some research on some ancient and more active cult, and this might tie in with our research. And I observe him as I speak to see if
Yeah,
there's a
that
change
was
in demeanor.
exactly what I was about to ask.
Sorry, what were you going to ask?
When I speak about,
How is he reacting to those questions?
You can make psychology rolls.
Everybody?
Anybody who's sizing him up,
Oh, yes.
which at this point I assume is everybody.
Probably.
Right. So for Evelyn, So yeah, Evelyn and everybody else. Seems genuinely interested in Evelyn. He's very curious, but you don't pick up any signs like that. He knows exactly what you're looking for. But he is definitely very curious.
What is your area of expertise?
Currently I am a professor of anthropology.
That's quite the field.
Well, I have a specialty in the local Aboriginal culture. I've led a couple of expeditions into the desert. I've assisted some archaeological digs in the area. I'm not as focused as Alexander is. But just a second, and I'll get the diary for you.
While he's gone, I'm gonna address the others. Do you think we should point in the general area of the map where we think there might be something? In case
We
he
can just
forgets.
ask him if he's heard of anything like that or if he knows anything about that area.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Should we
Since the
tell
map
him?
we have is out of scale, maybe he knows like, oh yeah, there's a temple or some shit in the middle of the desert.
He might
Should
know
we
exactly what we're looking for.
should we tell him about the guys that was at the front door?
Yes, we should. Did anyone else notice that he locked the door after we came in?
Yeah, he probably knows. He acted like he knows.
Probably does. So there might be something else in this house that's of interest. Unless they're after him, as opposed to Professor Cowles.
Chris, did it look like a particularly shady area of town?
No, it's like walking distance from the university.
Did we get his name even?
His name is Dr. David Dodge.
Thank you.
Oh, this is Dodge. Okay.
And he comes back and he's holding like a pocket diary. It's like about 4 by 6 inches, brown cloth cover, like wrapped with an elastic. Like, I don't know what's in this. Alexander wouldn't say, and I figured if there's anything that he thought that I might be interested in or might be able to help with him with, he would tell me. But by all means, you pass it over.
Are you aware that you might be under surveillance?
I have noticed people watching the house over the last several months.
I'm gonna give a quick glance at the book that he.
Any idea why?
I don't know. Perhaps they were hoping that. I mean, some of these artifacts might be worth money on the open market. Perhaps they were hoping that the house would be empty and they'd be able to make their way.
Chris, I'm going to make a psychology roll.
Sure.
Yeah, me too.
I'm giving the book a quick glance while the conversation keeps on.
Okay. Yeah, he seems to be able. He definitely knows the house is being watched, but he doesn't seem overly nervous. He does just basically think it's like opportunistic people.
So did not try anything while you were there.
No, they haven't tried anything, and I try to vary my schedule so that they can't tell exactly when I'm here. Unfortunately, for the last semester, my workload has been relatively light. So I try to vary the length of time I'm away when I have business to attend to and not present them with a safe opening. Eugene, as you look at the diary, it is definitely, it's like a handwritten diary. Each page has space for 2 days. It is like the outside cover is stamped with the year 1921, and it's crammed with like little like penciled observations in fairly neat handwriting.
And does the end writing stay stable through the book?
It does.
Okay. We've seen some books where people start going insane, and the end of the book is a bit more scrambled. So that's my first check.
Yeah, it looks like there's 7 entries in all. They're fairly short. The first one says is dated March 7th, March 21st, March 22nd, March 23rd, March 24th, and May 15th.
Okay. Once I peruse the full book, I'm gonna start reading
Okay.
while people are speaking,
Okay.
because I don't know if he's gonna let us borrow the book, so I'm
Yeah.
making a checkup.
So I'll make this. I'll make a copy of the diary available in Foundry here, but just so everybody is aware, March 7th, Jack Kubakura says that the Aboriginals are following us. Most unusual if true. They have every reason to fear guns and our bushranger predilection for using them. In the past, I have always known them to head the other way as soon as they see white men. March 21st. We are about equally distant from Joanna Spring and Separation Well, east of an awful line of dry lakes. The heat is terrible. Our hopes are low. There is nothing here, certainly not quartz reefs. Today we sighted several enormous birds flying lazily far above us. How'd they get here, and where can they be going? March 22nd. At noon today we found Jack, partially buried in a gully, his body scoured and covered with hundreds of small punctures as though someone had sandblasted him. We burned him, of course. I shall miss his counsel. March 23rd. 22 degrees, 3 minutes 14. However you read longitude and latitude, I don't know. South by 125 by 0 by 39 east. Great sandy desert. Have discovered what appears to be the remnants of an ancient city rising from the shifting sands. I believe I have secured several good photographs of this amazing find, though the heat has ruined all but 6 of my photographic plates. By the pitting of this stone, the blocks and pillars appear to be more than 10,000 years old.
Oh.
March 24th. 4 camels killed in the attack last night. I saw at least 2 men, and more must have been skulking out there. I'm sure I hit one. That ends this trip. We'll have to head back to Kankudgery and report this incident. More than men were out there last night. I saw shapes much bigger than men during the attack. My evidence is the body of old Sam the camel, punctured and scraped is the best way I can describe the remains, just like poor Jock. Since the attack lasted only a couple of minutes, it's hard for me to believe that anything human could have done so much damage so quickly. But then, what was it? May 15th. Have told Robert Mackenzie about the city. Together we aim to return and undertake a full survey. When he saw the photographic plates, he was flabbergasted. Now as keen as mustard to work with me to realize the discovery.
Was that the name of the teacher in America?
No, that is Professor Kells.
Sorry, I'm mixing names.
Can we leave with this, or is we can just watch it there?
He's just like, I mean, you guys are talking to him, while you guys, I mean, it's only like 2 pages really that Eugene read. So as you guys are talking to him about like what it is he does and stuff, is Eugene is flipping through it.
Do you mind if we ask you some question about some object of our interest here?
Certainly. I mean, I have a very limited breadth of knowledge outside of the native culture here, but I'll definitely help what I can.
Well, it might
Well,
be
the
a
native
crossover.
culture might be the center of what we're looking for.
Yeah, it might be a crossover because I was wondering, do you know anything about an old cult that would be called the cult of the sand bath? Bat.
Um, there are some of the Aboriginal folks in the desert um, are said to worship some sort of bat god. It's said to be the antithesis of the rainbow serpent. Apparently, the ones who do worship them are quite the nasty bunch. Periodically, corpses are found by caravans traveling through the desert, miners, cattle drovers. Most of the victims are horribly diseased, um, covered in hundreds of tiny puncture wounds like they were feasted on by bats. I've never seen any of these bodies myself, so I don't know much stock to put in the stories. But
Are there that big of a bats native from Australia?
oh, I mean, there's some large bats here to be sure, but um, I mean, nothing that I would consider to be a bat god. But I'm not a terribly religious person to begin with, so.
Bats aren't necessarily known to attack people, though, generally, as I understand it.
Um, I believe that to be the case. My studies of the natural world are not strong, but I don't believe them to be um, like a predatory animal by any stretch.
I'm
At least
gonna
not
take
toward
out my
humans. Perhaps rodents and insects, but
Yes, but not to humans. So perhaps these are just stories meant to scare the caravanners and the cattle drovers out of the desert.
Just a side note, Australia has some of the largest bats in the world.
Yes, it does.
the the fruit
yeah, I've
bats.
seen some pictures. They can
Black,
get
the black
ridiculously
flying
big.
fox can
Yeah,
have a wingspan of more than a meter.
yep. That's
Just
the
a
one I was thinking of.
touch bigger than the ones in North America.
I was
Just
trying to.
slightly.
I was having trouble trying to figure out if the flying fox is technically a bat or if it's its own family of animals.
But yes, as Eugene like kind of finishes, David Willicombe says, "Is there anything in there useful to you?"
Um, yes, it might be. I need to trace a map from the conclusion in that book, but it does mention people being assaulted and left with just thousands of tiny puncture wounds. So I think he was a victim of something similar to what you mentioned.
Oh,
I'm not very. I can't use longitude and latitude from memory, but might be able to trace the point he's speaking of in his book.
oh,
Um, I'm gonna bring out my Australian map
okay.
and point out the approximate zone where the red jewel was. Are you aware of any culturally significant anything in that area?
Uh, not not particularly. I mean, the desert is the desert is vast, and very little of it has been explored by white men.
Yeah. The map we have was drawn by someone who didn't care about proportion.
Oh, I
So
see.
as such, we have a very vague idea of what we're looking for.
Right. And Eugene, you can make a navigate roll.
Yes. I'd be better at astronomy. Not today.
Well, hopefully, whatever you find in that book is useful to you.
Yes. Eugene's gonna write down the longitude and latitude that were in the book to make sure he has another copy of that.
Okay.
Uh, I'll probably need better tools to try to figure out, but he had found something, and if it aligned with the general direction that we were looking for, it might be our first clue in the right.
Well, if there's anything else
Do
I
you
can.
know?
Sorry?
Do you know that cult is very prominent around the people of the Aboriginal tribe?
It's stories. I mean,
And
I've never seen evidence of the cult firsthand. But
and
if you
is
ask people
the
in the area, they will tell you stories.
So it
and
would
does
be like a
the
boogeyman.
and is the worshipping of that rainbow serpent more prominent?
Oh yes, the rainbow serpent is one of the prime deities of the Aboriginal way of life.
Hmm. Okay. Should we should we want to discuss with locals more of the Aboriginal nature? Would there be a better way to do so?
Uh, you might find some in some of the mining camps in the area. You'll definitely find them in the desert if they want to be found. But
Yes.
they are they're not specifically inclined to speak to white people.
I get it. Do you probably study their dead tradition, or have you been studying their more active tradition?
Oh, I've spoken with some of them. I've studied some of their archaeological finds. It's quite a fascinating culture, really.
Well, if we're gonna have to study their, let's say, opposite counterpart, I'd be more than happy to learn a bit more about their more traditional practice. Like,
Evelyn will look over Eugene's shoulder, sort of looking at the book.
Eugene's gonna make a little movement to like see if he wants to take the book.
Evelyn takes it.
Right. So yeah, everybody should have access to it in the discovered handouts folder on Foundry. It
I'm not
is.
I'm not familiar with maps in those time, but do they have the longitude and latitude on it?
Yes, they do.
I'm gonna try to. It might be pushing the previous roll, but I'm gonna try to use that to get a general idea of the spot you found the city.
Okay. It is. One sec here.
Is there any chance of you putting that up on Discord as well? Because that is way too tiny.
Yeah, give me 1 sec here.
At least for me.
You can zoom on it, but I'll put it up on Discord here.
I can't get it to zoom, but
Professor,
Yes.
you yourself, have you been to the desert?
Oh, many times.
And if we would
oh god.
want to adventure in that area, what would you suggest that we bring that uh, should be essential?
Oh, depends on where you're leaving from. Depends on where exactly you're going in the desert. You're
Let's say
gonna
that we're going for a while.
you're gonna want either camels or vehicles. You're going to want to make sure, if you're bringing vehicles, you're going to want to make sure that you bring plenty of fuel, spare parts, have good drivers. You're going to want some long arms to deal with any troubles that might come up. Food, of course, depending on where you're going. Honestly, if you're not equipped for the desert, I would not suggest you stray far from the cattle lines. The cattle lines make their way from well to well, so at least you'll have water. You're going to want to bring non-perishable food, maps, compass, of course.
Gary takes note.
But yeah, it depends on where you're going. If you think wherever you're going is going to take you 3 days, you're going to want to plan for 2 weeks worth of material. The number of people that have gone on a quick trip and not returned is quite significant.
2 weeks for 3 days. That's a good ratio. Thank you very much.
Yeah, the last thing you want to do is to have something mechanical happen with your vehicle and not have the parts for it.
Words of wisdom.
But depending on where you're leaving from, there are some mining places that can get you set up. I know people in the area, but if I don't know where you're leaving from, it's not a lot I can tell you.
Well, do I see Eugene's scrying on the map?
Yep, probably.
Do you have an idea, my friend? Eugene,
I'm
sir?
trying to identify the position. Um, does the name Robert Mackenzie tell you anything?
Oh, yeah, Mackenzie. He's a mining engineer, a friend of Mike Ware's. Lives in Port Hedland, I believe. Actually, I think I've got his address here someplace.
If you could dig that up, that would be lovely.
Yeah, I can do that.
And as for where we're going, I think we have an answer.
Yeah, if I check the coordinates we found here, it's in the area where we had that beforehand.
Mm. But at least now we have something a bit more exact,
Oh yes,
as opposed to out that way somewhere.
it would
In the
be
desert in
Mm.
Australia.
approximately here.
Is there anything like a guild of people who can take us on safaris or anything like that, or is it all one-offs? Is there anyone you trust to take us out into the desert?
It would be kind of east of Port Evelyn.
one sec here. I'll move you to this slightly more detailed map. So
I don't have the longitude on that one, but yeah,
yeah.
somewhere here.
Looking at the map there, Eugene, you're looking at basically someplace in between. Basically, just to the west of Sahara Well.
Yeah. Makes sense.
So that is a fairly significant way into the desert.
But it kind of worked with the indication we had with the Ruby map. So
Yep.
it might be something. You might want to explore the other clue that we have, but it's too much of a coincidence to be nothing.
Oh, given his description of what he found there, I don't think it's a coincidence at all. Who was Jack?
Is there any? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm just wondering who this Jack fellow was.
From the sense of the diary, just somebody that was part of the expedition that met an unfortunate fate.
Hmm.
Do
That's
you
the
know
beginning of a trope.
Do you know if that area has any eye mountains?
No, no, it does not.
Huh, might be a problem.
Hmm.
No elevation of any sort?
Nothing I would consider a mountain.
Doesn't have to be exactly a mountain.
Uh,
It's higher than the rest.
I mean, if you're lucky, if the winds haven't eroded them, you might find a really high sand dune.
Okay,
Chris?
yeah, that's the kind of
He mentions blocks and pillars. An ancient city rising from the shifting sands.
Yep, I can hear you. What was that, Jaime?
Sorry, I thought I was having some audio issues. I just want to poke my head out the window and see if the surveillance has returned.
No, not yet.
Gentlemen, and lady, of course, I was wondering if we could borrow the book for a day or two, get through it a little bit more in detail, and if we could contact you if we have any other questions, and then probably drop off the book at the university to return it.
Yeah, that should be fine. It's not really mine to give, but Alexander mentioned that you were working on something, so I'm sure as long as it's here when he gets back.
It's definitely not a give. We're not going to read it here in front of you. There's lots of pages here, so we're going to take some notes, obviously, on our side, and we'll return the book to you at the university. So, gentlemen, lady, I think that it would be a good idea to. I know we have a lot of questions for the doctor, and maybe we can do them over the phone. Heavily implying that I want to leave before someone starts staking out and can track us back to where we're going.
Just before we go, did you have any pictures or engraving that were with the book?
No, Alexander took the photographic plates with him on his tour of the United States.
Oh yes, those were the one mentioned in the research. Okay, perfect.
Mhm.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Hopefully, it's of use to you. If you do decide to head out that way, let me know. Depending on where you go, I might know some people in the area that you can help.
As soon as we have decided, we'll contact you to arrange the return of the book. And if you have any contact for us, it will be greatly appreciated.
Oh, certainly.
We'll probably need to go. I think the closest city to where we're going to go is Port Hedland. Uh, so probably the best place to stock up, and unless we go up to Concajeray to try to assemble the team.
Yeah, if you're heading to the desert from that, Concudgery would be probably a good place to supply. You can take the train from Port Hedland to Concudgery. You're not going to want to take a bunch of supplies on the train with you. Certainly not vehicles or camels, but you should be able to outfit yourself there. Concudgery is it's a mining town, so they're used to people going out looking to strike it rich.
Yeah. Toward Lake Disappointment.
Yep.
Well,
Yeah.
I want to thank you for your time, sir.
Oh, no problem at all. Hopefully, I can be of assistance if you have any questions.
Already have been.
Oh, well, good luck with whatever it is you're doing.
Now, all your research go swimmingly.
Well, I have some time before classes start, so.
Thank you for your time.
And he will escort you out. He lets you take the diary. You do hear him like lock the door kind of behind you as you leave.
Did he give us the address for Robert?
Yes, he would have dug up the address for Robert Mackenzie in Port Hedland.
And sorry, Robert did what for a living again?
He's a mining engineer.
Ah, that was it.
Right. But other than that, you guys have some information. You can decide what you would like to do.
So, Chris, on the way back, I am going to assume that we're being watched, and I'm going to try to find a roundabout way to get back to where we want to go. So, I want to make sure that we ditch any tails that I assume that we have.
Sure. Let's call that a stealth roll. So yeah, you kind of like lead the group through a roundabout way. I mean, it's pleasant enough. It's like the end of August in Australia. So even though it's technically winter going into spring, it's still like pleasantly warm and sunny and everything. So it's a nice day for a stroll, even a roundabout one to get back to your hotel.
This weather is so very different from England or New York.
Yeah, it's too clean.
It's it's definitely different. The warmth and the sunlight and comparatively dry.
You realize we're going to a desert, right? There will be a lot of dry sunshine
Well,
we're not
I
going to be
mean,
looking forward to in the future.
yes, we did just come from Egypt, but
And Africa.
and Africa.
Yes, we're a long way from England, but I wouldn't necessarily say that that's been kind of what our normal is. For some reason, cults like backwater hillbilly places. Like England.
Like England, yes, that's what it's known for, being a backwater.
But from my understanding, the little bit that I got from that book was that he stumbled onto where we need to go. I mean, an underground or a city that was covered under the dunes for 10,000 years. That sounds like what we're looking for.
It
And
does.
if we assume that the visions or that people are having was of that entire city being uncovered, maybe we're not looking for a mountain. Maybe we're looking for a city outline or a cityscape that would have looked like a mountain from a distance.
Well, he said it was towering above the sands,
Right. But
or
we always
something along
assumed it
those
was
lines.
a mountain, but it could have been
Mm.
like a chapel or a.
Mm-hmm.
Chris, was it specifically a mountain, or was it just this thing that was towering over that could have been something else?
Could have been
Just
something
mentions
else.
the city.
Yeah. And if it was just under the dunes because it's a desert, well, then he got the tip of it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not the expert here. I'm not the brains in this group, but when people say 10,000 years old and a city, we have been in this situation before, and it tends to be what we're looking for. However, there is,
Ancient city at that.
yeah, an ancient city, exactly, right? So I don't know what England looked like 10,000 years ago, but Chicago, not so much as a towering citadel.
Not a single
All,
skyscraper in sight.
all of that put
The
together,
only reason I mentioned mountain is because we need to make the symbol up I,
Mm.
so it covers the area. So if there's no mountain, we're gonna need to be creative on where we put the symbols, because
In the
make
center of the area.
yeah, because it's like a dome and it starts from the symbols. So the higher it is, the more it covers.
great. I think that's a tomorrow problem. I think finding the location is a today problem. And the today
Yes.
problem that we're talking about is there was some, like, someone said something about minutes.
And,
He has coordinates in the
Oh, their
diary.
coordinates.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
I didn't understand that because I'm just a
Yeah, that's why I
detective
pointed
from
to the map.
Chicago.
That's why I pointed to the maps, because the minutes could help me locate the approximate. I would have to have a better quality map to pinpoint the exact spot.
But it's in
But
the right area, right?
yes, exactly. It
Mhm.
So
fits with the gem.
if the minutes, whatever they mean, are in the right area, and this sounds like a 10,000-year-old city, I'm going to say that's the first place we want to look.
Yeah.
I mean, we still have a couple of things that we need to check to that could be useful, but I think that's the ultimate place where we need to go.
I mean,
Just I want
yeah, that's
to check the things so we're not surprised when we get there and in a
yeah,
bad spot.
I agree. There's a lot of information we want to gather, a lot of things, even supplies and all that stuff that we need to do. So it might not be the next place we're going. But if I look at where are the most likely targets of this badness that we need to stop, I would say this is already on the top of our list.
Quite. It does look like the first place we should go. Once we've made sure that we have enough
Of
of
everything,
everything that we'll need. Right.
including information.
We need to find someone who can safely escort us. And we need to find out what this other fellow knows as well.
Honestly, before we go straight into the desert, I would check the shipping company that I've been fueling all the cult with
That would be
materials.
nice. While we're
Like,
still in the neighborhood.
yeah, it's don't think it's in this city, but it's on the way.
I think that if it's a giant city that they're trying to excavate, there's people involved. So there's excavation crews or like workers. And I would definitely like to look at what civilized area or even uncivilized area they'd be getting those workers from. That might give us a good idea of what we're looking
So
into as well.
the book
Yeah,
was the first. The
or
book
a
was the first
mining
step.
company.
Yeah, all of that. The other thing is that I wanted to get out of there before that lookout or whoever was there got there, because they probably got at least a vague description at the best and an accurate description at the worst of what we look like from those people that you approached. I wanted to make sure that we got out of there beforehand. And then I also said that we can talk to him by phone, because that's not going to be traced. No one can trace that. And then finally, we can give him back the book at the university, because there's normally lots of ins and outs at the university. So again, it makes it easier for us to be able to return the book without to have to come back here and be tracked.
That's fair. I was just reminding that we add other things that we need to check before going straight into the desert. But otherwise, I agree with your desire to leave the place before we got spotted.
And we can ask him the questions by phone, so we don't have to be there
Oh,
and
yeah.
get spotted afterwards.
Let's
Holy
just
shit, they're
hope that
not
he's not
joking
gonna
about the
be.
freezing rain outside.
Let's just hope that he's not in danger. I mean, a lot of people who helped us had been like had bad luck following our encounter.
He was already under surveillance, and then they ran away instead of confronting us. So I'm going to think that it's not danger yet. Doesn't mean it won't be. And as nice as a guy he is, what is this? It's not a mission. It's not a mandate. It's a
Our hand goal.
responsibility, I feel, is a little bigger than him. I hope he's okay. And if we need to help him, we will. But it feels like within a day or two, we're leaving towards further west, right?
Sandier skies, yeah.
Chris, this entire conversation makes Alvin wonder, because he used to be the guy who used to fight for the little guy. And this whole like, it's only one life thing kind of like, as he's saying it, it feels a little awkward.
Gotcha. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, Alvin is probably starting to realize the stakes that are here. It's like this is not like it's not just some little murder case or missing persons. This is like there may be times when you need to decide, make hard decisions, and
Yeah,
Alvin,
but the greater good, it's
yeah,
paved with, road to hell paved with good intentions and all. So he's a little
absolutely, yeah, absolutely.
trepidatious about that. Not everyone is drunk with hunger for power, right? So
Most are not.
For some reason, magic users of Call of Cthulhu always kind of go like, power, you say. All right, so you guys have the diary. Have a chance to look at it. You have coordinates. You can pinpoint those on the map. You do know that the shipping company is in Darwin, which is in the Northern Territory. And like it's not exactly on the way.
I'd still make Darwin our next destination.
Basically, it's a lot like going from New York to California, so you can get to Arizona.
Yeah, it doesn't always make sense.
But if Darwin is your next destination, then you can take a train. You could take a boat. You could rent cars and drive. Or you can take a bunch of these newfangled things called airplanes.
That will never take off.
Did you guys
That was
have
so
any other
bad.
have any other lead that we should look up in this town?
Not unless we're going. Where's the shipping company? That was down south, wasn't it?
No, the shipping company is in Darwin.
I was in Darwin in the north.
Where are we right now?
You guys are in Sydney.
We're in Sydney. We're in the southeast.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna check for boat and train. See how much it costs and how long it takes.
So by boat, you're looking at about a week. And by train, you're looking at probably about 5 days.
And that's to get where?
That's to get from Sydney to Darwin.
Oh, okay.
Aren't we heading to Perth?
What was
I
in Perth?
thought that had been the question, but
We have leads everywhere. It's a question
Okay,
of what you want to prioritize.
Perth was our guess as the closest town to the spot in the desert, but now we know that the closest spot in the desert is not Perth, but Port Edland.
Yes, it looks like it's probably closer to Darwin than it is to Perth.
Just that Darwin is the spot for the shipping company that we need to investigate. And then Port Hedland is the closest we have to the sunken in the sand city. Perth was just a wild guess from the position of the Ruby as the closest town. I don't think we have any other leads that leads us to Perth, but I might be wrong. Right now, our two strongest lead is Darwin, followed by Port Hedland.
Chris, you said it's about a week's travel by train
It's like
to Darwin or Perth.
It's like 5 days by train to Darwin and about 7 by boat.
And we still have almost 100 days before the end of the world.
Yep.
As we know it.
I do not feel fine.
As long as we don't go backwards and forward multiple times, I think it's perfectly fine to go to Darwin, explore the shipping lanes, and then move on from there. But that's just my opinion.
I really think we should check on the shipping company before going straight to the desert city. That's my opinion, but that's my feeling.
And that's to see the machine parts, right?
Yeah. They've been shipping cult artifacts to all of the cult around the world from there. And they might know of the excavation. They might have stuff on hand. They might still be shipping stuff that we could stop. Yeah.
Chris, is there enough time over the next little while? Let's say 2 or 3 days in Sydney to read the book and ask questions to the professor. Fair enough. I don't know how big the book is, but there's enough time. Is there enough time for everyone to go through it? Or is it just like 1 or 2 people that are going to have enough time to go through it?
No, it's literally only like 4 pages of handwritten notes. It takes you like 2 minutes to go through.
I'm going to re-transcribe them, and it's going to take me at best half an hour.
Is there any indication that he, and I don't know if it's a psychology check or whatever it is, that he had any inkling of the greater stakes while he was doing this? Or was it just scholarly?
Just scholarly. I mean, finding a city that's like 10,000 years old buried in the middle of the Australian desert is a huge find for any sort of anthropologist or archaeologist.
Agreed.
But there's no indication. I mean, he apparently saw some strange things, like giant birds, and there was an attack, and he thought that there might have been something that wasn't quite human. But other than that, it's pretty run of the mill, even taking into account that stuff.
Okay. So let's put together some questions that we want to put to the professor if we have any left. Does anyone have anything else that they want to ask?
Well, if we know that we're going to not Port Hedland, but the mining town a bit further down, he said he might know people in that area that he could like recommend to help us find our way. That would be my last ask of him. I mean, I could talk with him about the cult of the Rainbow Serpent for a couple of hours, so I know better what is the religion that is fighting against the Sandbat, but not sure that is a prime priority.
So far from hearing you guys, there have been no good guys, just other bad guys who want to stop the first bad guys more.
I mean, when we were in Kenya, the old man seems to be leading the more accepted religion that was against the bloody tongue. So some more mundane cults seems to be siding with, well, against them. I mean, it's the general religion of the Aboriginal people here. It's like if we found out that somehow there was a sect of Christian fighting against the bloody tongue, wouldn't be that surprised.
I mean, it'd be a little surprising. Just because they'd be acknowledging that something other than themselves exists.
I mean, I assume most of them won't
But I
be.
think I agree that most faiths, other than those that are actually dedicated to this particular deity, everyone else would be considered in opposition to it.
And folks can give me anthropology rolls as you're having this discussion.
Well, I can make the dice move.
Did I roll again or not?
You made it. Oh, it's better than us who have 1%, right?
I did not expect that at all.
So both Evelyn and Eugene, you guys are both aware that the rainbow serpent or rainbow snake is basically amongst various Australian Aboriginal tribes. It's the creator god, basically the god that creates land and birth the Aboriginal people. Essentially, that sort of like life giver god. Although Evelyn, with your hard success, you're also aware that, like many other creator gods, there is, if it is angered, it can be extremely destructive. But it is probably the most common deity in Aboriginal religion and is of great importance to them. Like, regardless of what tribes they might be, the rainbow serpent mythology kind of runs through all of the peoples.
Cool.
As a matter of fact, whenever there's a rainbow in the sky, they explain it as the rainbow serpent moving from one waterhole to another.
Cool.
That's good. That's good.
So, is there anything else you guys are doing in Sydney?
I think this is the end of our lead in Sydney. I mean, we could try to hunt down whoever is looking at that place and try to figure out what or why they're doing it. But that might expose us.
Or wound us. Or
Also, well, unless anybody thinks of other leads in Sydney, I must admit I have a preference for boat. Just because last time I took a train, it didn't end well.
Hmm.
But it's gonna cost us 2 days. So that
My
if we're
last.
going overland,
I'm kind of sick of boats.
yeah, I get that point.
You did sound rather unwell anytime I walked past your door. It
I'm
was a
very
little
curious at
worrying.
this flying thing, but I'm afraid they're just going to
Ugh.
fall out of the sky.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Luther was fine, apparently. But
He's not here.
he's not here.
Because he's not that
I,
fun.
if he was here, I might be more inclined to try it. Um, without him, a bit less so.
I mean, if there was anywhere to land close to the sunken city in the middle of the desert, it would save us a lot of heartache. But
Don't they have
don't
tires?
think it's
Can't they just land anywhere?
not sure.
Oh, I have no idea.
Oh, my bad. Apparently, Sydney to Darwin by steamer is 10 to 11 days.
Train it is.
And train would be. Train is apparently not an option.
What?
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Like, there's no way it's going through the middle. It'd have to go to Brisbane and then to Townsville and then to Darwin, somewhere along the coastline.
So from Sydney to so steamer is your transport,
Or plane.
or you could try to hire a plane.
Oh dear God.
My vote is on steamer.
I mean, whatever.
Maybe if we find you a room in the middle of the boat. So it's not quite as rocky.
I'll manage. I mean, it's just, it's just, it sucks.
I don't have any particular fondness for boats either.
How long is it by plane?
By plane, it would still take several days.
And we need to camp in the middle of the country.
You do.
And I don't know where to refuel. So
That's why you camp partway through.
we're probably following the train line just by plane. It's supposed to go faster.
Not exactly. The plane actually basically cuts through a lot of Queensland. basically you stop in like Queensland, you stop in Northern Territory, and then the airport is outside of Darwin, so you still have to get into Darwin itself. But it's like 3-4 days by plane.
I think boat it is.
Steamer it is.
Okay.
We do not trust this newfangled technology.
I mean, if you told me it was 2 days instead of 10 days, it's something else. But it's like 5 days anyway, right? 4 or 5 days anyway, with the stops and everything. So, and then we're not at our destination. Then we have to still get to Darwin.
And without Luther in case there's an emergency.
I prefer to have fire vampires near water. It might be just me, but
As opposed to in the middle of the sky. I
Anyone
agree.
else think those giant
Very
birds and the pecking of the people that were dying does not sound like a good thing?
It's another reason to stay out of the sky.
so steamer
Yeah, there
it
was
is.
something about
Okay.
giant bats too.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they didn't mention bats. They mentioned birds. We are just talking about bats.
There's way too much flying things in all of the literature I find.
I agree. Wholeheartedly.
So it's settled then.
Unfortunately, yes.
Well, I'll 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 make use of your company at the moment since I will probably be indisposed.
Mm. We'll try to keep you company as best we can.
So yes, you guys can arrange for transport from Sydney to Darwin by steamer, and the steamer ships are massive. They're like 10,000-ton vessels. They're huge boats. It doesn't have all the same luxuries that like the ocean liners have. The quarters are a little bit more cramped. It's ungodly noisy. Coal soot gets everywhere. But it is safe.
That's the hope. we can all swim better than we fly, so
I don't know if that's necessarily true for everybody.
Some can suck at both.
I mean, definitely float better in water than we do in the air.
That is true. Okay, Chris, I don't know how often there are giant steamer ships that go from Sydney to Darwin. Is it something that we need to wait for, or is it something that like tomorrow we can just jump in?
No, you'll need to. Basically, it is Saturday. The steamer leaves on Monday, so you've got like a day or two in Sydney.
So I would suggest the following things. For our smart people who want to know about rainbow serpents, go to a library, rent out a book. If you don't return it, oh well. Two would be let's get the information for that person that the doctor knows, which is he said might be able to help us if we go out there. It's better to have the name and not need it than need it and not have it. And we can return the original. We have a copy. We might even have 2 copies because I think 2 people said they were going to transcribe them. Is that enough to do for our one day? Anyone want to do something else?
I'm gonna try to see if I can find any guides on their language.
I thought nothing was written.
There is no written Aboriginal language.
I know there's no written one, but like a guide that helps you, like if they make that sound, it should means that.
No.
If they throw a stick at you, they're mad.
There is nothing.
They said something about threatening to eat you to have your your power or whatever. Oh no, that's New Zealand.
Yeah, there may be like you might be able to find some people closer to the desert that know some of the language, but this far away from it in Sydney, you're not going to find anything.
I was thinking of asking the professor when we bring back the book.
Uh,
But if he
The bush
doesn't know,
ranger.
I'm gonna ask for
Yeah.
some reading on the rainbow serpent.
I know a couple of words. A few of them though, they speak the king's English. A couple of them do anyway. Your best bet when you get to like the mining camp, if you're going to Port Hedland or parts beyond, there's folks there that make their living taking folks out into the desert to see if they can stake a claim for quartz or other things of value. Most of them at least know some of the language. Probably find somebody in Concudgery that'll be able to work as a translator for you. But odds are, probably not going to need one. They
don't talk to white people.
They keep to themselves. I mean, I can't say I blame them really, given people in the yeah. So they tend to keep themselves. I don't think you're going to find any to talk to, but if you're looking to find somebody who can speak the language, ask around a Concudgery.
If they would have built any monuments, since they don't have any written language, would they make symbols on them, like drawings of the serpent, or?
Most of the, I mean, they're not really. They don't really build monuments. I mean, they have natural things that they hold in esteem. They'll occasionally mark them with ideograms, paint and the like, but they don't build things in the way that you're thinking. Most of them are largely nomadic.
I'm just wondering if we do find some construction in the desert, who might have made them? And if such, how do we identify that?
I mean, I've done some studies, but like I said, it's primarily artifacts you find as opposed to structures.
Okay. Well, if some of your studies are available at the university, I might ask for a copy.
Oh, I've got some papers.
Just so if we find anything of their object, we understand what we're looking at.
Oh, well, if you do find anything, bring it back.
Oh, I will. I will.
Anything else folks would like to do in Sydney?
Not for me.
Okay.
When we have
I'd like to
another
do
dialogue,
something.
I'd like to check with Evelyn for the word. Like I taught her the symbol. I like her to try to help me pronounce the word
All right,
that she learned.
And Miles, what are you doing?
I want to do two things. One,
Okay.
I would like. Well, they all involve going to the same place. I either want to go to either a university library or a public library. I specifically want to look up stuff in any kind of occult, religion, mythology section that I could possibly tie to the cult of the Sandbat. And I want to do some research on what kind of natural predators that I might have to deal with out in the outback.
All right. Give me a library use roll. Oh, excellent. So, taking a look around, primarily the university library. You do find some reference back to the cult of the Sandbat, hidden in various books here and there, who worship a being called the Father of all Bats, or alternatively known as the Haunter of the Dark. Stories. It seems to be a lot of the stories are fairly recent, going back to like the early 1890s, so going back about 30 odd years. Apparently, most of the stories seem to go around the Irish Catholics who are trying to quote unquote civilize the locals. But the stories that you can find indicate that somebody in the Irish Catholics, one of the missionaries, taught a radically altered version of Christianity that was not it was not kosher as the
Really?
Oy vey.
I think you're mixing your religions there.
um
Not biblically accurate, maybe?
He
but
was
yeah
losing his religion.
yeah
Sacrilegious?
but yeah, the stories that Miles
Achievements.
finds is this missionary known as Father Solero, indoctrinated vulnerable members of the indigenous community into this perversion of Christianity.
Can you spell the last name?
Solero. And from there, this cult kind of spread and started to take on kind of characteristics of older, long forgotten religions within the indigenous people. And then suddenly one day, according to the stories, just vanished. The story is that Father Solero transformed during some sort of ritual. And then without his charismatic leadership, the cult dwindled and faded.
Sorry, transformed into what?
The stories say some sort of bat-like creature.
My picture was correct.
So as far as like some of the cults, like the cult of the Bloody Tongue in Africa and New York, trace their lineage back like to like ancient Egypt. Same with the cult of the Dark Pharaoh. This cult seems to be like relatively new, like maybe 40 years. And largely disappeared probably about 20 years ago. Like it was really only active for like 15 years. Like it stands out as being an anomaly. It does have ties to like much older indigenous cults, but the specific cult of the Sandbat seems to be relatively recent.
Is there an approximate date on when Solero disappeared?
About 1906.
I will take copious notes on that to share with everybody. And
Okay. And as for dangerous animals, snakes, spiders. To Miles's surprise, there's no like large cats or like elephants or hippopotami or hippopotamuses,
dingoes and emu?
emu, dingoes. But the biggest dangers from what Miles can determine is from animals that are highly poisonous. Yes. And yeah, mainly snakes, more than arachnids, but the biggest problem was the fact is like some of them like they camouflage themselves in the sand, they sneak into your bedroll, they curl up in your boot. So as a
That's terrifying.
yeah, as a well trained like big game hunter, Miles, you would be aware like one of the first things you do in the morning before you like get out of bed is you grab your boots and you hold them upside down and shake them before you put your foot in it.
Flashbacks to my real trip to Australia. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So I will take my notes. I'm going to make a observation to see if I am being watched by anyone or followed.
Yes, absolutely. You can make a spot hidden roll. Nothing catches your eye. Although something that Miles would notice too, since you were specifically looking for books on the occult and stuff like that. When you get a chance to come back to this library, if you get a chance to come back to this library, or have more time to spend here, there are quite a few writings on basically the dream time, like a kind of like an Aboriginal concept that ties heavily into the religion and ties into the dreaming as well. But there is a fairly extensive library of works on that.
How much time do I have before the library closes?
You could start some reading, enough to know that you definitely want to spend more time here if you get the opportunity.
Borrow the book.
I'll stay there until basically they say, "Sir, it's time to close."
All right, perfect. Right. And then was Alvin doing anything?
No, he offered suggestion. Other than that, he's getting himself a hat.
Okay. Is Gary doing anything?
Nothing intelligent.
Is he doing
Yeah,
anything not intelligent?
He's probably shopping a bit and wandering about in Sydney, wondering where did my life choices put me up to this?
Poor Gary.
Chris, do I specifically need to say that I'm looking to see if we're being followed, or is that just implied?
I just assume that you guys are keeping your eyes open. And then what was Eugene trying to get Evelyn to teach him?
From our past discussion, we talked about her helping me understand the Book of Dyson or teaching me secret word to steal minds of people that she exchanged for coffee and booze.
Ooh.
Oh, shit. That was what I meant to ask the professor about.
If you know about the city,
Mm-hmm. Did Miles
what
mention before he left that he was going to the library, or did he just say, I'll be back in a bit?
I would have mentioned that I was going to go to the library.
Could you look up a city name for me while you're there?
Sure.
The city of
Nakotis.
trying to find it. Thank you. Yes, the city of Nakotis.
Is this a real city in Australia or a...
Oh, I have no idea where it is, if it is anymore. It's
Okay.
an old city. You may need to check history or religion. Those are probably the two sections that would have information, if there's any
Oh,
to be found.
oh, like a Sodom and Gomorrah type thing. Okay,
Sort
gotcha.
of. Mm.
Or
But
Cthulhu mythos.
an old city that's not necessarily on the map anymore.
Exactly.
All right, I will tackle that while I'm there.
Okay. You can make another library use roll.
What did I miss by? 7?
6.
6? Yeah, I'll spend the luck. How do I spend the luck? I forget.
If you left click on the die result, you'll get a drop down menu.
Chris, I found out what I want to do with my spare time.
Okay.
I want to take a look. How do I prevent my Tommy gun from getting impounded when we offboard at Darwin?
Don't get caught with it.
That's literally it. There's
Yeah.
nothing that I could sign, or there's no legal mumbo jumbo that we can set up or anything.
Sadly, it is not a hunting implement. But
That's a bit narrow-minded.
but that being said, there's very few places that bribery doesn't work.
All right. So I pack it with a $20 bill on top of it.
Wow.
So when they open it, they can just close it again. Take the top.
So Miles, as you're kind of looking, you don't know if it's the right city, but you do find a reference in one of the books in like kind of the archaeology section from Professor Dyer, who apparently found a large stones, blocks, various stages of wear and falling apart, with curved tops and bottoms. And you find reference that he thinks he found the great city of Nakotis. There's no reference as to what that city might be. Like it's written in such a way like he just expects people to know what that is.
How about where?
In the Great Sandy Desert, but significantly north of the coordinates you have. Probably like 200 miles north of the coordinates you have. He mentions like near Joanna Spring.
Sorry, can you repeat that last part?
Yes, sorry, near Joanna Spring. And yes, Alvin, actually, you can roll law to see if you can find a loophole.
Sorry, where is Joanna Spring? Is that on this map, or is no? Because there's only major cities.
You could spend 23 luck if you'd like, Alvin, or you can just try the bribe.
The bribe sounds fine. Is $20 I feel enough?
Oh, $20 in 1925 money is,
A lot of money.
yeah, it's probably close to $1,000.
Wow. Okay. Let's put $10.
I will say, with your knowledge of the law and everything, you've got an idea as to what an acceptable level of bribe is.
I put that amount and then plus 20%.
Okay. Put in the right amount and then a 20% tip.
I mean, it's a service for that amount. You got a tip on top of it, 20%.
You need to tip on the tip.
And I figure that what I'm doing is like obviously enough. Like there's money on top of an illegal item. It's pretty obvious what I'm trying to send.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yes, Miles, the location, from what you can gather, is about 150 miles, kind of like northwest of the coordinates you have.
And sorry, though, that 150 miles north puts it close to Joanna Spring, or that's 150 miles northwest of Joanna Spring?
That puts it near Joanna Spring.
Okay.
Other than that, oh wait, Evelyn, are you actually teaching Eugene how to suck people's souls?
No.
Okay.
That is a power she keeps for herself.
Not until I find out A, how it works, and B, where this city is.
Can you go through with me through the Book of Dyson to help me with the English? I
Oh
don't
yes,
understand.
yes.
We can divert that there.
I'll do that instead. I will distract him with the Book of Dyson.
Okay.
So I can learn to summon a shambling or, which is apparently way better.
Okay. All right. So yeah, it'll take you like 2 weeks of reading. So basically, with Evelyn's help, you'll be able to finish this off before you get to Darwin.
Okay. That's gonna be a trip thing.
Yeah. Though your Cthulhu Mythos does go up by 3.
Oh, okay. Some
And
insanity props.
yeah, and you lose 5 points of sanity.
Yeah, but well, my
Oh
maximum
dear.
drop, so it had to happen. Did you raise my Cthulhu Mythos?
Just give me 1 sec.
How much is it?
Yeah, I think it went
Oh,
up
no.
automatically. All right.
How much Cthulhu Mythos do you have?
Here's
35.
35.
That's a hefty amount of nop.
Yep.
So
So,
Uh,
with the 3 more, that's 38, I guess. With the 3 more.
yep. Evelyn,
Yes.
uh, as you're, let's see what's like here. As you're tutoring, actually, is anybody else doing anything on Sydney before we do the boat ride?
Didn't someone just
Right.
trigger violence for violence sake?
Yep, but not until he's actually like studying.
Yeah, we're doing that on the boat ride.
Gary's just unhappy that we're gonna go by boat, but a part of that, it was a greater good. It's for the greater good.
Okay.
Poor Gary.
All right. Evelyn, you're helping as you guys are traveling, probably like 8 days into your journey.
Mm-hmm.
You're, you've been helping Eugene, kind of get through the book, and you've read the Book of Dyson before. You've got an understanding of what it is. The wise and venerable words of the exalted high masters of Shambhala, describing generational transformation of consciousness, enlightened beings of flame that raised humanity. Eugene kind of gets this like, generational transformation of consciousness. Maybe if I slice Evelyn's head open and take out her brain, I will be able to transfer my consciousness into her body and learn all the magic she knows.
Oh no! That sounds like a terrible plan.
I'm sorry, what?
Yep.
That sounds like a horrible idea.
Good news though, Evelyn. Initiative-wise, you are up first. As you see,
Oh, well, that's a relief.
as you see Eugene kind of get this look in his eyes and kind of look at you with like this crazed look, and he like lunges for you.
I will try to dodge and scream for Alvin.
Alvin, make a listen roll.
Uh-oh. Shuffleboard is loud.
The engines on this ship are
Oh, no.
so loud.
Oh no! My development tab's open, by the way.
Oh,
I'm not sure why. Thank you.
because I was
I'm
adding
just
on
glad
Nuclear Mythos.
I'm just glad that your first reaction was to cast spells at him.
No. My first reaction was to scream for you. Now, on the other hand,
Well, the good news is he doesn't have a knife.
I'm
The
trying.
good
to
news
tell-
is that he has mythos lore, so your spell of draining him totally valid.
Yeah.
Ooh, Evelyn, you would like to dodge?
Yes, please.
So on the little chat on Foundry there, you can click dodge.
I see that. That's neat. Oh, 12%.
Oh, that's not so good.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh
Yeah.
dear.
So if you click the 12%, oh, a fumble! Oh,
You hit
Wow.
his fist with your head.
This is the greatest slap
I
fight
run
ever.
directly into his knife.
no, not into his knife, into
Headbutting his fist.
basically he's like just like trying to basically tear your skull open. That will take us to Evelyn.
Let me just help you adjust your grip.
You get more
Oh,
torque
no.
like this.
Grip here and then twist. Oh dear. I am not a combatant.
With your fists.
course, judging by that unarmed roll, neither is Eugene, thankfully. Yeah, I don't carry a weapon on me normally. Hmm.
Did I grapple her, or can she get away from me?
No, you basically just like lunged at her and trying to tear her skull open.
Charming.
I'm going to continue yelling for Alvin and try to run out of the room.
All right.
Is it possible to roll a listen?
Yes. Everybody else can roll a listen.
Just everybody else? Does that mean I failed? Or
You have failed, unfortunately.
What, like
You are
everybody?
out playing your card game with the old people
Yeah.
and losing money again.
this is gonna be one of those things where
yes.
everyone's gonna get a talking to about reading books alone.
This time we were
He
not
wasn't alone.
alone. We're together.
He
That's the
literally
problem.
was not alone. That was the actual problem, was that he wasn't alone. If he had
So
been alone, it would have been fine.
then the problem is books.
All right. So yes, Miles and Gary, you both hear Evelyn scream. Evelyn, you come like rushing out of the out of the room. That will take us to Gary.
Well, I'm running to Evelyn,
Okay.
wiping my face from the cold sweats and maybe retching.
She's got
What's happening?
probably she's got probably like a pretty big bruise on her on like the side of her face.
What the hell? Is Eugene
Eugene's
still?
gone mad.
God fucking damn it! And I'm running towards Eugene.
All right. So yeah, so basically you can stop to check on Evelyn and then make your way into the room. Miles.
All right, I'm going to try to calm Evelyn down at first, and I'm going to be like, all right, what happened exactly?
Eugene and I were reading. I was teaching him something, or trying to, and then he attacked me. And she's shaking.
Did he stop his attack, or is he just like around the corner?
He's around the corner.
Yeah. He's about to launch into Gary next since Gary came into the room.
Chris, do I know, does this boat have security or police with actual, like, jurisdiction and authority?
It just got people that are hired to try to keep the peace. Not necessarily police per se, more like concerned individuals who are earning a paycheck.
So it doesn't have a
Security.
brig?
It does. It would have a room that could be made secure, not a brig exactly, but they can like throw somebody into a stateroom and lock the door.
I thought for a second you were gonna say you could throw someone overboard.
You do that too.
Depends how much trouble they cause.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so how do we approach this? Do you want me to go help Gary? Are you okay?
Please. Yes.
All right, I will go rush to help Gary and deal with Eugene. Hopefully to quietly deal with this before anything resembling an authority shows up.
All right. Eugene lunges at Gary. Gary, you can dodge or you can fight back. Your choice.
I'm gonna fight back.
Okay. Oh, unfortunately, Eugene won.
It's false.
You could spend 9 luck, Gary, if you want to succeed.
Of course I do. Oh, no, not that much. 33 luck, 9, it's kind of a lot.
Okay.
I'm gonna take the shot.
Ooh, 8 points of damage to Gary. Ooh.
Bye bye, Gary.
All right.
I'm knocked down.
So yeah, as you come into the room, Eugene just like lunges at you and like slams you back into the bulkhead. Your head hits something. Blood gushes out of that wound. You've taken a major wound, which means if your hit points at 0 while you have a major wound, you are in danger of dying.
Oh no.
Told you Stephen sucked.
Goddamn blood.
That will take us to Evelyn. You just heard a sickening crunching sound from inside the room where Gary just ran.
Damn it, I like Gary. Okay. I'm about to find out what happens if I cast something.
Oh,
I am going to try. Oh, this sounds terrible. Let me just read how this works. Oh, well, I'm not very likely to win this, but I'll try it anyway. I'm going to try the Dread Curse of Azathoth.
okay.
So Evelyn will run to the doorway of the room and stand there with her fists clenched at her sides, staring at Eugene, and start muttering under her breath.
Oh, not enough sanity loss to go insane. That's
good.
probably for the best.
Yep.
Right. So it takes a round to cast, so it'll go off on the next round.
Okay. Keek.
That will take us to Gary, who is unconscious. Miles, as you step into the room, you see like Eugene has basically just like bounced Gary's head off the back of the bulkhead. There is so much blood. Gary is like slumped down. His breathing is pretty shallow. Eugene is standing there with like this like just mad look in his eyes. What would Miles like to do?
I am going to try to subdue Eugene.
All right.
See if I can knock him out with a punch or tackle him to restrain him, render him not a threat.
All right. So, if you'd like to try to render him unconscious, basically this is it's considered to be a maneuver, so it's a brawl roll.
Okay, I figured as much. You know what? This is important. I'm spending the luck.
Okay.
Sorry, do I click the number or the asterisk above it again?
The number.
I didn't need that luck anyway.
Oh, Eugene dodges out of the way, unfortunately. It's extreme
What?
success.
What?
Got an extreme success on his unarmed.
How can you tell? I can't see that from my from the roll tab or whatever. I see like 3 little dots, so that's why I'm like, or do I have to scroll to see?
There we go.
There you go. Yeah, I've rolled a 13. So he does dodge out of the way of your grapple. Eugene, it is thankfully your madness only lasted for so many rounds. You kind of snap to your senses. Your hands are covered in blood. Gary is laying unconscious on the floor. Miles is trying to grab you.
I'm just gonna go like look at my hand, big eyes, and just drop on my knees.
And actually, I think with that, with Gary unconscious, blood pooling by his head, Evelyn in a panic, Eugene realizing some of what's happened because part of the your particular insanity is you remember everything that just happened. And Miles kind of deciding what he would like to do. I think that's an interesting cliffhanger to end things on.
Oh, you don't want to do my spell going off?
Oh, that's right. I forgot you had a spell ready to go.
Yeah, we should resolve
I have a
that.
spell that I've already
Yeah.
muttered,
Yeah.
and we just need to know what happened.
So I'm going to need Evelyn and Eugene both to make power rolls.
Yeah, Eugene's gonna win this.
And then someone gets blasted like a fireball.
Oh, good God!
Good lord! For a friendly audience, he just rolled an extreme success.
He rolled a 5. Holy shit.
Eugene rises like Jason Voorhees. Is that it?
Pretty much. My
Like the
magic.
Terminator. You just keep
nothing.
shooting him and nothing happens.
I mean, Evelyn could spend 55 luck if she wanted to win this.
No, I couldn't. Well, I mean, technically, yes, I could. I have 62, but no, I did not. I do not want to spend that much luck.
Okay.
Because holy crap.
All right. So Evelyn, you're muttering under your breath. Eugene, you kind of hear this. You're well versed in the mythos. You realize that Evelyn knows the name of Azathoth. Which is extremely dangerous information. And you can feel something like this fear come over you as the realization that it's entirely possible that Evelyn knows how to end the world.
No.
And with that realization, we will leave the cliffhanger.
I might not have been wrong to want to hate you, Dan.
I mean, that's possible. It is
Maybe
entirely possible that you had the right reaction.
Maybe the madness was prophetic.
All right. Everybody.
A while ago.
You did. Everybody can make their luck recovery rolls.
Oh, I got some luck.
I did not.
1.
I did not get luck, but I am full of pina colada, which is pretty lucky considering.
Well, that makes up a little bit for spending all that luck and not getting a success.
Yeah. All right. So we will pick up next week with Gary bleeding profusely, Eugene kind of shocking by what he knows, Miles deciding if anything he's going to do, the realization that Evelyn knows the secret name of Azathoth.
Somebody gets a mop.
So we'll see everybody next week.
When I'm out to destroy the world, Gary, I'll remember that you came to my defense. You and Miles both.
Oh, she was going to kill us last.
I'll destroy you last.
Hey, remember when I promised to destroy you last? I lied.
Probably won't have to worry about it if I roll the way I did against Eugene.
You guys get to be killed last, but I got pina coladas. So who really?
I'm just going to be flailing at nothing.
Yeah, I want pina coladas before I die. Get nice and drunk.
I mean, Alvin seems to know where they are.
It's too late to apologize.
Apologize.
All right.
The bad thing there is that Eugene is quite good at punching people, so it's not a good thing
Yeah.
when you
I'm
start doing
I'm
that.
actually
Evelyn, not so
quite decent
much.
too. So
Evelyn
it
is
was it
not.
was it was a good choice. It was just a bad roll. I mean,
You know,
Yep.
shit
dice are
happens.
dice are not always on our side.
It would
That's
not
the
have
way
been
it
Nope.
goes.
it would not have been that way in a